Hi there, welcome back to Scrap and Coffee. So the other day I've started working on this little cutie mini album. We've made the cover, we've made a little acetate that became a shaker window that will be going on here, but I haven't attached it yet, as you can see. So now we are going to make the inside, and I'm going to promise you this is going to be so easy. And yeah, don't expect it to be an album that can hold 50 or 100 photos, but that's not what this is about. So I've already prepared one inside, but I'm going to make it with you step by step. So it's not in there yet, but it's going to be really easy. We might change it up a little bit, we'll see, but yeah, I'm going to show you how I've done this. So let's get this out of the way and let's get our papers cut and scored. Like I said on the cover, I'm going to try to make this tutorial a really step-by-step tutorial. So if you've never done this before, this is a great one to start with. Try it out just for to see if it's something that you like. So I'm going to use white cardstock for my inside covers, and I'm going to use 12 by 12. That is what you will need for this. And my first piece, I'm going to cut it at 6 1/4. So I'm lining it up here in my paper trimmer with the 6 1/4. Got that. This is the piece that I'm going to need. And this is what I'm going to probably use later on. Second piece, again, I'm going to cut it at 6 1/4. Oh. And I tried to line up my work surface, but it's already off now. Okay, so and now I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to cut it at 11.5 inches. So we cut off 1/2 inch. And then we are going to need one more. Again, 6 1/4 is the first cut that I'm making. And this one we are going to cut at 11 inches. So we have 3 pieces of cardstock. Now we get our scoreboard in. And I'm going to start with the first piece that we have cut. So that is 12 inch by that 6 1/4. And I'm going to make my first score line at 6 1/4. And I always like to go over 2 times. And now I want to have another score line that's 1.5 inches away from this score line. So that will be at 7 3/4 inch. Score that. So what I'm also going to do is I'm going to mark where the center is between these 2 score lines. So I'm going to do that on the bumpy side of the score line. So what we've done now is we made that score line, and here you can feel that's a little bit indented, and on the other side you can feel it has a little bit of a bump, and that's what I call the bumpy side. So this is 1.5, so at 3/4 inch from my score line is the center. So that's 1, 2, 3 at 7 inch here. And I'm always having trouble with following the lines here. So what I'm going to do, and this might be a little bit confusing, I'm going to turn it around, and now I'm going 3/4 from the score line here. So that's 1, 2, 3/4. And I just make a little tick mark with my pencil, and I've marked where the center is between those 2 score lines. So that's the first piece. Second piece is the piece that we cut to 11.5 inches. Again, we are going to make our first score line at 6 1/4. Now I'm going to make my second one 1 inch from this score line, so that's at 7 1/4. And then again I will turn it over to that bumpy side, and I will mark where the center is between those 2 score lines. So that's at 1/2 inch from the score line. And I'm going to do the same thing here, that's 1/4 inch. Second piece prepared. Third piece is the 11 inch piece. Again, make your score line at 6 1/4. And now 1/2 inch from that is 6 3/4. And again, I will just turn it over and mark the center, 1/4 of an inch from that score line. Easy peasy. Just getting the scoreboard out of the way. So now we are going to fold on these score lines. Now what I like to do is, again, you have that bump and you have that dent, and we are going to fold towards where the bump is. So I have the bump here and I'm going to fold it towards there. I'm going to try and see if my paper is lined up. And then I'm going to, with my bone folder, burnish that fold. So that's one, and we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Fold towards that bump and burnish that. And this is what we got now. So let's do that for all our pieces, all 3 of them, towards the bump. So there we go. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use score tape, and I'm going to prepare these pieces so I can stick them on top of each other. So where I'm going to place the tape is on your spine part, on the outside of the spine part. So if you want to do this before you fold, you will do that on the dented side. And I'm going to combine this double-sided tape with some wet glue later on. So I'm just placing it, make sure that you stay in between those score lines and you go from edge to edge. And I'm just going to do it like this. There's a little bit of space in between. I'm using 3/8 inch tape here, and this is fine. So that's just prepared for later on, because first we are going to make some attachments. That's the other one. And last one. I'm just going along the other score line, staying away from that a little bit, and then I can place one more in between, I think. Yep. So you do want to use something here that will guarantee a good stick that will last over time. So that's why I'm using score tape, good quality tape, and I'm going to mix that with my art glitter glue. So the smallest one will be the middle page, and then you go with the middle one and then the larger one. Now we can play around with the page order here. I think I like to start with half page, and then for the one with the 1 inch gusset, I'm going to place it with the larger section first. So you have half page, longer page, and then this one again with the half page first, half a page, longer page, half a page, longer page. So that it's, yeah, there is a word for it, but it doesn't come to mind. So this is what I'm going for. So now we are going to make our add-ons, and I don't have my cutting guide with me, but I think I can do this from the top of my mind. I also have that other one that I can use to see what I've done with the measurements. So I've made on 2 of the half pages, I've made a side pocket here. You could do that on all 3 half pages. You can play around with it and make it however you want. But I'm going to make 2 of these, so we need 6 1/4 with 7 1/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to cut 2 pieces, 7 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to use my scrap pieces for it, but I don't think I can get 2 out of 1 strip, because no, that's not gonna work. And if I cut off, what do I have left? Then that is 1 2 1/4. So I'm going to cut it to the 3 3/4 first, and then maybe I can use that other strip for something else. And then to 7 1/4. So this is what came off with cutting our first 3 parts. 7 1/4, right? And just keep this. You can use it as a photo mat maybe or something. Don't throw it away. And I need one more of that. Seven and a quarter. Oh, that's okay. That's going to be scored anyway. There we go. And then get the scoreboard in again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this in my scoreboard with the 7 1/4 inch along the top, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch. And I want to score 1/2 inch from this side, so I'm going to do that at 6 3/4. And I'm going to score it on 1/2 inch on the long side, so you can do that here on 1/2 inch, but I always prefer to score on this side. I don't know, it's just easier for me. And I'm going to do the same thing here. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch from this side. I didn't cut this one right, you see that? I cut it at 7. Ugh, but I can use it for something else. I just need to cut a new piece. That happens quite often, I can tell you. You probably already saw that, but okay. So 3 3/4 by 7 1/4. Okay, that's better. So 1/2 inch, 6 3/4, and then 1/2 inch. Now if you want to do something with corner punches or have a little notch in your pocket, then this is the moment to do it. I think I'm not going to. I do like, I've used a scallop punch here. I really love that punch. And I do think I'm going to use it on the album. But okay, let's just stick to one thing. So I like to use double-sided tape for my construction. So I'm going to do that. And if you do it, then you are going to place your tape on the dented side. And I'm going from the score line there, stay close to the cut edge. Like that. And I'm going to place it here from that cut edge up to that score line that we meet there. You can go from edge to edge, that's no problem at all, but you're just going to cut that tape away. So I will do that for both of these pieces. Now we are going to cut on our corners to reduce the bulk. So here your score lines are going to meet, and we are going to cut across that in about a 45-degree angle. There we go. Do that on the other corner as well. There we go. And what you can also do is angle the 1/2 inch right there. So I'm going to turn it over. Here's my score line. I'm going to place my scissors there and angle that a little bit. And I always like to cut from my score line. It's just something that I prefer. So let's do the same thing on that other piece. Okay. So now we are going to fold on our score lines, and again we are going to do that towards that bump. I'm going to fold over the long edge, and I'm going to burnish that one. And then I'm going to fold over my smaller flaps, and I'm going to see if they don't overlap. Here I've got a little bit of space in between them even, so that's fine. And burnish that one as well. So that's the pocket prepared. Let's do the other one. So again, I'm just going to check. no overlapping. If they do overlap, you're just going to recut a little further in. Okay, so this is what we have done so far. Everything is loose. We can still play around with it. We are going to determine on where do I want to have this pocket. So what I did is this is the one with the largest gusset, and I've placed it on the inside of that smaller page right there. So I'm going to place that to the side for a second. And this is the one with the 1.5 inch gusset, small page inside. I'm going to turn it, that's easiest for me, and I'm going to place this pocket right here. Now what do you want to keep in mind? You want to line it up with the edges, so that's actually the top and the bottom, and you want to be able to see your score line completely after placing it. You don't have to stay away from it very far because you have the gusset there. However, you do want to make sure that you are completely able to see that score line. So if you're using wet glue, then you're now going to apply your glue here. I'm going to remove my tape backing, and I just like to do that for all 3 sides at once for my pockets, but go however you want to go. So I'm always like using my fingers to keep this flat. I have this between my thumb and my, how do you call that finger? Well, you know. So I'm just placing it where I can still see that score line, and I'm pretty straight. Align it along the edge there, and align it along the edge here, and then it's on there. Burnish that down. Burnishing it will help your tape to have a better stick. It makes it stronger. So that's our first pocket down, and then I can use my corner punches later on if I want. So this was in there, and then we have small page here again, but I want to do something different there. And then I would like to place it here, and I think I placed it on the inside again. Yeah, so this is the one with the 1 inch gusset, your middle page. I'm going to turn it around again, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So again, I'm just holding that down, placing the bottom where I can see the score line, where I'm pretty confident that I'm straight. Align it along the edge, and align it along the edge. Burnish it. So that's our first pockets in there. Pretty easy. But yeah, making a pocket can be maybe something that scares you if you've never done it before, but I promise you, just follow the steps and you will be fine. So the next thing that I did was on this page, okay, I've made a flap that goes up, and I've made a small pocket here, and that gives us the opportunity to make a photo mat that we can place in there and hold that flap down. So this is what we can do. What you can also do is leave the pocket out if you want, use a magnet to hold this down, or a Velcro piece. You could even say, hey, I'm going to place 1 flap here and 1 flap on the bottom, so I have 2 flaps, and use a magnet to keep it all in place. You can play around with the elements, but I'm going to do it like you see it right here, and I've done that on 2 of my pages. So I'm going to make 2 flaps and 2 pockets. Now here we need to keep something in account, and that's especially important for this page here. We need to keep something in account in the measurements. So this was going to be a little, this needs to be 2 1/4. Okay, so I think I can use this one that we've just cut off the strip. Oh no, there are 2. No. Too bad. Not gonna happen. But I'm just saving these pieces because you never know if I can use it on something. Okay, a new sheet of paper it is. What I'm going to do with my first cut, I'm going to place it 1/16 of an inch under the 7 1/4. Because I need to make sure that it's going to fit on my page. So 1/16 under 7 1/4. So that's officially, that's 7 3/16 of an inch. Yeah. Then I need a piece that is, I need 2 of them. 2 1/4. 1 and 2. These are going to form our pockets. And then I think I can also manage to cut one flap out of this. So I'm going to cut for the flap. I'm going to make a cut at 4 3/4. And I'm a little bit off there, but this paper isn't always straight completely. So 4 3/4. This is going to be scrap piece. And now this I need to cut down a little bit to 6 3/16 of an inch. So that's 1/16 under the 6 1/4 inch. Got that. So this is our flap and we need one more of those. So let's see what I have left here. Perfect. I'm going to cut this 1/16 under 6 1/4. And then I saw I need to cut up just a hair here. 4 3/4. Okay. Scoreboard back in. I'm going to start with the larger pieces. I'm going to place the 4 3/4 inch side here along the top, and I'm going to have a 1/2 inch score line. So I'm going to do that on this side again. You can score here at 1/2 inch if you prefer. I'm going to score here at 4 1/4. Just make sure that it's straight in your scoreboard. And again, yeah, that's better. Sometimes I am a little bit off. 4 1/4. So I have a 1/2 inch score line there along that side. And again, for this piece, I'm doing the same thing. 4 1/4. And then for our smaller pieces, we are going to do the same thing like we did with the other pieces. But however, because I've cut this just under the 7 1/4 inch, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. Turn that and again score at 1/2 inch. I mark this in the cutting guide as score at 1/2 inch on both sides. So please keep in mind that you're not going to score here at 6 3/4 because then you will be off. You need to be, this really needs to be 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to turn it to the long edge and I'm going to score again 1/2 inch from that long edge, and I'm doing that at the 1 3/4 inch mark. So I'm going to do that again for this piece. Score at 1/2 inch on the short side, turn it, and again score at 1/2 inch. And here 1 3/4. Done. So again, I'm going to place my tape here. Again, I'm doing that on the dented side, just like we did with our previous 2 pockets. For the flap, I'm going to place the tape again on the dented side, between that cut edge and that 1/2 inch score line from edge to edge. For these flaps here, I'm going to angle that 1/2 inch again, just like we did earlier. I'm going to cut it from the score line with an angle to the cut edge. Like that. our pockets, we are going to miter that corner again. So we are going to cut at an angle. And again, you can angle these 1/2 inches, but it's not really necessary. There we go. So again, we are going to fold towards that bump. Make sure that there is no overlapping. So this is a really small pocket. And for me that functions as a closure. And for the flaps, also fold towards that bump on your score line. So my first combination of flap and pocket went on my first large page on the outside. So I'm getting the middle page out with the 1-inch gusset, and I'm going to lay it flat. So I have the tape showing here. I'm going to start with a pocket. I'm going to remove all the tape backing, or you're going to apply your wet glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my right bottom corner, line it up with the right bottom corner here on the page. So I want that to really line up there. Place it along the bottom. And then you will see you have a little bit of space between your pocket and your score line there. Now for this one it doesn't really matter, but for our next one that is really important. And I thought it was easier to just keep the measurements for both the same. So if you want to place it on the inside here, you can do that as well. Now our flap will go on the top. And again, I'm going to align that with this edge. But what I'm going to do, it's easier for me, I'm going to turn it upside down. I will, what you can do is remove your tape backing partially, like this. And then just place that in the corner there. Because you want to have that one to line up. And now give yourself the opportunity to line it up along the edge here, and line it up along the top, hold it in place, and then carefully remove your tape backing while sticking that down. So that's in place there. Now I'm going to take myself a little of that scrap piece here and place it in there so that flap is going to stay in place, because I'm not going to use a magnet, but you can if you want to. So that's the first one, and the second one was going not there, but I believe on the last page, right? Yeah, on the last page. So this is again the one with the wider gusset, the 1.5 inch. We already have our pocket here, and here we are going to do the same thing. So now it's on the inside of the page. And again, I'm going to start on that right bottom corner there. Align that along the bottom and along this cut edge here. And I have that little bit of spacing there, and that's going to help to have everything function right. Turn that around again. Place that here. Careful in that corner. And just line it up for yourself without it having to stick completely. Hold it in place. And then you can also burnish that if you want. Then what I did is I made a stack pocket on this smaller page here. So for that I am going to cut pieces. Let's see, this was a really small one. The one is 2.5 and one is 2.25. Okay, let's see what we have to work with. I can use this, maybe I can use this. Yes, so this piece, for the width of the pocket, I'm going to cut it 1/16 of an inch under the 5.25 inch mark. So that's 5 3/16 of an inch. And this one is going to be 2.5 inches. So I've used a scrap piece for that. And the other one needs to be 2.25. I can use this piece, that's okay. This is the piece that I've messed up earlier. So again, at 1/16 under that 5.25. And this one is going to be 2.25 inch. So they are different in size a little bit. So let's start with the larger one, the 2.5 inch one, because this is going to be a normal pocket. But again, because I've made that weird measurement, I'm going to score it 1/2 inch, turn it around 1/2 inch, turn it to the other side, and again 1/2 inch. That's one. And now for the smaller one, we're going to start with that 1/2 inch with the 5 3/16 on top. And we are going to, the scoring is actually the same, but 1/2 inch from here. For the tape, the larger one is getting tape on 3 sides like we did with all our pockets. If you don't like this feature or you find it too challenging, you can also just leave it out or make one more of those pockets that we started with. So like I said, you can play around with this. That's one. Now I have the smaller one here, and I'm only going to apply tape here on the short side up to the score line there. You can go to the cut edge, but you don't have to. It's not a problem if you go to the cut edge. It's not going to bother you, you're just going to cut it away. So this one is getting a miter again. That's it. Now for this one, I'm going to hold it with the 2.25 inch here. And I have my score line here, and I'm going to cut slightly to my intersection there. See that? With a slight angle. You can also cut straight, and then here on the bottom, I'm going to cut with an angle. So this is what we do. I'm going to do the same thing here. Cut up to that intersection. And with an angle cut up to the intersection. That's what I've cut away. We are going to fold and burnish on all 3 score lines, on this one, on the larger one. And for this one, we are only going to fold on our side flaps. You won't be folding on this score line here. Just like that. And they will be placed on top. This will slide in the first pocket, that score line. Okay, so we had the middle page with the 1/2 inch gusset, and I'm going to place it on the outside. So I'm going to lay it flat. I'm opening it. You can see the tape here on our gusset. Get our first pocket with tape on 3 sides. And again, I'm going to start at my right bottom corner. Like that. And now this one I'm going to place in here, and it will not go any further than your score line. If you're still able to see your score line a little bit, no problem. You are going to cover that with pattern paper, and we are going to attach it right there along that line, that cut edge there. So just remove the tape backing on both sides or place your wet glue on those small flaps. Shove that in there. Line it along that cut edge on your right hand side and stick it down. Stack pocket made. So this pocket, let's see, will this fit? So this will go to the bottom and this one will go to the bottom as well. So you can place a larger photo in here if you want. So last thing is our waterfall elements. So for the waterfall element we need to cut some pieces, and the first one is going to be 4 3/4 inch. I thought I heard my phone going over, but by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to need 4 pieces that are, and I need to cut into a new sheet for that. Four pieces that are 4 1/4, so that's where I'm going to make my first cut. By 3 3/4 inch. 1, 2, and 3, and I need one more, but I do have the scrappies here, I think. 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. That's exactly what I need. Now, how perfect is that? And then I was going to make a piece. I need to measure that. I don't know it from the top of my head. I believe it was 1 1/4. Yeah, by 4. So 4 inches. I hope I can make it with all my large trimmer here. I always find it a little bit difficult. Hold that in place. 1 1/4. That's it. Let's go in reverse here. The smallest piece, I'm going to align it with the 4 inch on top, and I'm going to score it at 3 1/2, right? I'm doubting myself here. Yeah. 3 1/2. And then our 4 pieces, we are going to align the 3 3/4 inch side on top, and you're going to make a 1/2 inch score line. So you can score that at 1/2 inch. I like to do that at the 3 1/4 inch mark. You're going to do that for all 4 pieces. And our first piece doesn't need any scoring. all these pieces I'm going to apply some tape on the dented side between the cut edge and your score line. Just like that. And then for our small flap, again on the dented side, let's wait with that for a second. We're going to wait with that for a second because I'm going to see if I'm going to attach it on the back side or on the front side. You will understand what I'm talking about later. So fold on those score lines towards that bump again, so your tape is visible on the outside. And again, you can use a corner punch if you want. I think I will be doing it, but I'm not doing it now to save some time. And then we have our first piece. Now we have to be careful because it's pretty close together, but they are 4 1/4 on one side and your flaps are 4 1/4, so they line up perfectly. So it doesn't really matter. I'm going to place my first one on the bottom now, so don't be confused. I remove the tape backing just a little bit, just like we did earlier on with the flaps, and make sure that it's nicely lined up here along the top. And it's only sticking on one side, so I can move that a little bit. Line it along your edges here. Hold it in place. Stick it. Now I'm going to turn it sideways. That's easiest for me. I'm going to open this, get my second piece, remove the tape backing again just a little bit. I'm going to place that up against that first 1/2 inch, but more important, I still want it to line up with my edges. And then you can also do a double check to see if it lines up with your first piece. And it does. Hold it in place, stick it, and repeat that process. Checking. Think I'm good. Stick that. Last one, and we should go about to the cut edge of our bottom piece. We have a little bit of space there. Again, I'm just checking. Yep. So that's on there. And now this piece, we can attach it on top here. Or we can also attach it on the bottom. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So the tape or your glue will go on the bump. The bumpy side of your piece in this case. And I want to center this. You can eyeball that, or you can do it like I am. I am going to go to the back side, find my center. So this was 4 1/4, so at 2 1/8 of an inch. So I have the 2 1/8 of an inch here lined up. The center, and then I have 1 1/4, so that's, what is that, 5/8 of an inch? Yeah, so I'm going to make a little pencil mark at 5/8 of an inch from the center right there. I'm going to pre-fold this, remove that tape backing or apply your glue. And then I'm going to attach this, but you want to be really careful that your score line, you don't stick your score line down. So I'm going to place it a little bit away from that. And I will show you on this side. If I turn it over, I'm still able to see that score line completely there. And then we can fold this over and use a magnet, or you can use Velcro dots. That's a cheaper option. So for placing the magnet, I'm getting one set of magnets here that have a little bit of tape on them already, and I'm going to place it here. And what I keep in mind is that I'm not too close to the edges of my cardstock. Careful with your knife. Place the other magnet on top. Remove that tape backing. Hold this closed. And then just push it down. And then your magnet is in place. Now, because I'm not going to decorate it right away, I'm going to get myself some tape that I'm just going to place over this to secure it a little bit. Just like that. Now this waterfall piece will be going on our middle page with a 1/2 inch gusset on the larger side, on the inside. But I'm not going to attach it until I have my pattern paper placed on my page here. So this is the construction part of this album. We do need to decorate, and we do need to stick this down together. However, I think it might be easier to decorate before we complete the construction part and place it into our cover. I think it will be easier because now it's laying nice and flat and we don't have to worry about it too much. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So for it, yeah, I might film it. I might prepare it a little bit and just film it for you guys. Decoration part, and of course completing the construction I will film, obviously. But so yeah, what we are going to do, if you want to know for now, you just want to continue, of course, don't have to wait for my next video. If you are going to construct this, we made these little pencil marks on your spine part there. So you're going to remove the tape backing. If you're using the tape, I suggest you combine it with some wet glue. And then you are going to line up your pencil marks from the, this is the 1 inch, this is the 1/2 inch. So you're going to line up those pencil marks so you place the center on top of each other. Those pencil marks are going to help you to determine that center. You're going to stick that down, and then again after that you are going to place the 1 inch one on top of the 1.5 inch, and you do the same thing. You're just going to line up those pencil marks that you have in the center. And of course make sure that you're lined up from top to bottom, and again stick that down. And then when you get your cover, you might want to mark the center of your cover as well, and then you do the same thing and stick it on here. And then your pages are in your cover. And but like I said, I'm going to do that with you because I'm also going to we are going to finish this, of course. But I think, I'm quite sure actually, that that's going to be another video. So this is the construction of the pages, and now you are ready to decorate them. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you join me in the next video. So thank you for watching, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.